May I request the chair of the session, Professor Ramesh Chandra Sinhaji, to continue conduct the session and then introduce the speakers.
So, good morning to each and everyone. Respected the Vice Chancellor of Nalanda International University, Pujya Swamiji, and Professor S.R. Bhatt, and very many well-known scholars are on the dais and off the dais. So I remember few names: Professor Sarao, to whom I met earlier, Professor Godawaresh Mishra, and Manyavar Professor Upendra Rao ji, and ex-culture secretary, Professor C. Upendra Rao. He is a professor in the School of Sanskrit and Indic Studies of JNU. He was the chairperson of the Special Center of Sanskrit Studies in JNU. So JNU is a very remarkable university in India. And I welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. ये धर्माः हेतु प्रभवाः हेतुं तेषां तथागतो ह्यवदत् तेषां च यो निरोधो एवं वादी महाश्रमणः करुणाशीतल हृदयं पय्या पज्जोत विगत मोहतमं सनरामरलोकगरुं वन्दे सुगतं गतिविमुक्तम्. I'm glad to participate in the 6th International Conference on Dharma Dhamma Traditions in building the post-COVID world order, organized by India Foundation in collaboration with Nalanda University, being held in Nalanda University here. The word Nalanda is very, very attractive for me because the combination of 3 Sanskrit words, na, alam, da. Na, alam, nalam, savarna dirgha sandhi, and nalam, da is very, very unique word because that means, Nalanda means insatiable in giving. That is the meaning. Insatiable in giving. It's very difficult to define this word. It's very difficult to explain this word also, even for Sanskrit scholars. But we can understand it very clearly. Na, alam, alam means enough. Not enough. It gives not enough. That means insatiable in giving. Insatiable means that cannot be satisfied. That means very great. So something great, giver of very great knowledge. That is the Nalanda. And this is the place of great people. Particularly, this is the birthplace of Sariputra. Sariputta was one of the very important disciples of Buddha. We say in Pali Sariputta, in Sanskrit we say Shariputra. The famous poet of Sanskrit literature, Ashwaghosha, wrote one prakarana which is not available unfortunately now, which is available only in Chinese translation, that is called Shariputra Prakarana. He wrote a complete prakarana, drama on Shariputra. And this Shariputra was a very important disciple to Buddha, and this is the birthplace of Shariputra, and his birth name was Upatishya. And he was born in a rich Brahmin family here somewhere, and then he became the disciple of Buddha, and he became Bhikshu, and he became very, very important along with the Maudgalyayana. He had 2 great disciples, Sariputra and Maudgalyayana. And Sariputra was considered as Dharma Senapati. And once Sariputra tells to Buddha that, oh Lord Buddha, Bhante, I understood Pratityasamutpada, it's very easy. Then Buddha says, don't Sariputra, don't say like that. It looks like very simple, but it is very, very profound. Pratityasamutpada is very Gambhiropana Praticca Samupado, Buddha says. So, this theme, the Dhamma tradition in building post-COVID world order, and Sri Ram Madhavji was pointing out that conference should give the direction to show a solution to the problems arose in post-COVID period. I want to present the practical way of Buddhist yoga. The Buddhist yoga, if you follow Buddhist yoga, then we can find some solutions to post-COVID periods. So with this, I salute to all elders, Swamiji, and also Professor Sunaina Singh ji, who is the Vice Chancellor. Also Lalita Kumar Mangalan ji, who is the Director of India Foundation, and Ambassador of Bhutan and other dignitaries, our chairperson, Sinha ji from ICPR, and all my friends who are sitting in front of me. Some scholars think that whenever we say yoga, some scholars think that yoga is only described in Yoga Darshana. But the yogic methods and practices are very essential in Buddhism also. Without yoga, there is no any Buddhist teaching, because the whole Buddha's teaching, in my view, is based on yoga. All Buddha's teachings are based on yoga. He starts with the mind, because the yoga means basically mind. Yoga means, because ultimately you think, because in Sanskrit we have different kinds of words, because the words have different meanings. Like every word can have the direct meaning. Yoga means, it is because if you take the Abhideyartha, the direct meaning, yuj yoge. It is coming from the yuj root, and yuj yoge means something yoking and tying and uniting. This is the meaning of yoga. But every word is having some technical meaning also. In that way, yoga is having technical meaning. In Yoga Darshana, it is not just uniting. Yoga Darshana says that yoga means chittavritti nirodha. Yoga is nothing but the mind. See, they talk about, Patanjali basically speaks about the mind. And in order to get the kaivalya, emancipation, you need to control your mind first. That is why he emphasized on the mind, and Buddha also very interestingly emphasized on the mind. Because he says that 4 Smriti Prasthanas, 4 Brahma Viharas, Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upeksha, all these things are essential for the controlling of the mind. And Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yoga, it is propounded by the sage Patanjali. And Arya Ashtanga Marga of Buddha have the similarity. We often have some concept in India that when we speak about the Patanjali, Vyasa and Kapila, we say that they are a kind of feeling we have, concept we have. They were munis. But I am very, very sad that we could not understand even today that Buddha also equally at the same, almost at the same time of Muni he was, because he was Shakya Muni. That is why he was also giving emphasis, he was also giving importance to yoga, and all his teachings are based on the yoga. The term yoga is very, very important. It comes in Bhagavad Gita also, Upanishads also. And Buddha says, Hitva manusakam yogam, dibbam yogam upachaga, sabbayoga visanyuktam tamaham brumi brahmanam. So here he is using yoga in different ways, ordinary sense. Abhideyartha, I told you, direct meaning. All attachments, yoga means attachments he is using here. So one should abandon all attachments, only then he can become Brahman. Not just by saying that. So this similarity, and yuktahara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu, yukta swapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkha, that is what said in Bhagavad Gita. Same thing Buddha also says. When we eat, when you take food, the person who is not having limitation in the food, he is taking overeating, he cannot be Brahman, he said. One should know the matra, and only then he can become Brahman. So Krishna also says, yukta ahara viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu, Yogo bhavati dukkha. Dukkha means not visargas. Dukkha, that is H-A, ha. Dukkha means dukkham, hanti dukkha. Yoga becomes a dukkha only when you do all these things. So, these are the very, very important, and also Buddha always tells about the mind. In Anguttara Nikaya he says, Naham bhikkave anyam yekampi dhammam samanupassami yam evam abhavitam mahato anathaya samvattati. I don't see, oh my disciples, I don't see any other one thing in the world by not controlling which everything will be spoiled. What is that one thing? That is mind, he says. So, the teachings of Buddha in Anguttara Nikaya are so unique because they are based on the numbers. So, that is why Ankottara, Anka means Sankhya, Ankottara Nikaya, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, it goes like that. So, one thing when he was telling about the one things, he speaks about the mind. And one you should control. And again, immediately he says, one thing, if you control, everything will be controlled. What is that? That is mind, again, he says. So, Bhavita word is very important, and this eventually grown in Mahayana also. Shantideva says in the Bodhicharya Avatara, Dukkham hantum sukham praptum ye bhramanti mudhambare tairetat dharma sarvasvam chittam guptam na bhavitam. Bhavitam, again, Shantideva also uses the same word. You see, this is a gradual evolution. Unfortunately, we lost a lot of Buddhist literature in India. And there was so much literature and so much continuity of this knowledge. And Buddhism is, after all, the continuation of Buddhist Indian knowledge systems. That is why it is very much integral part of our culture. It is very much in our ancient cultural heritage. Therefore, one should understand the importance of the mind. Those who study the yoga, they may find much similarity between Vedic and Buddhist perspectives of the mind and yoga. We can see a solid yogic influence on Buddhism. The similarity between Vedic and Buddhist thoughts is quite natural, as Buddha was born in India as a follower of Vedic tradition. And after Buddha only Buddhism became the religion, it became Buddhism. And yoga is very ancient in India. You can say that it is, you cannot say it is either Buddhism or Shramanic or anything. It is very, very ancient system in India. And it began as an independent and very ancient Indian thought and tradition which gained the universal acceptability. Seth Patanjali established a yoga system in his Yoga Sutras, and he says Yoga Chittavritti Nirodha, all these things. And then he says that only Chittavritti Nirodha is possible only tada drashtu swarupe, or same thing you will find in Tripitakas. Because Buddha understood the whole world is completely full of miseries. Dukkhamayam Jagat. He understood, he realized that the four noble truths. The first noble truth itself is the dukkha. Dukkho, dukkha samudayo, dukkha nirodhagamini patipada, Arya Satchu. They are all Arya Satyas. And he understood that there is a world is full of dukkha. And in order to get rid of this dukkha, one should control the mind first. And then through control of the mind, one should get the bodhicitta. And after getting bodhicitta, with a lot of practice with Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upeksha, because bodhicitta is basically about the compassion. Out of these four, basically they have taken the compassion, Karuna. The Karuna is such a great element that Bodhisattva takes this Karuna and he develops bodhicitta in him. And if one develops this bodhicitta, no enemy can harm such a person. See, with this power only, our ancient acharyas like Bodhidharma and many acharyas, Padmasambhava, they entered into crossed the boundaries and entered into the other lands, and they were respected as like Buddha, like God. Because what kind of power they had? They had this power of bodhicitta. And only this bodhicitta, even now, it can save us even in post-pandemic period. But you should understand what is bodhicitta. Not easily, because there is a lot of philosophy about it. Please read in the books, and you will ultimately understand that bodhicitta, power of bodhicitta. And one who is having the power of bodhicitta, nobody can harm him. And one, if you have the power of bodhicitta, then what happens? Yatha chapala madhyasto rakshati vranamadarat. But Shantideva says you should always protect your mind. Suppose if you are you have some vrana, some wound, and you are sitting in between the fickle-minded people, you always protect your wound. Evam durjana madhyastho rakshet chitta vranam tatha. You are always surrounded by the durjanas, and they always try to disturb your mind. And that's why you should also protect your mind first. Because if you protect your mind, and it doesn't mean that one should not give importance to the body. Body is very important. And yoga nowadays is used for the body. But the Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist teachers say that don't give so much importance to the body, beautification of the body. Body is very important. Kalidasa says that shariram adyam khalu dharma sadhanam. But body is only limited having some, because body and mind both are actually interconnected. Why they are interconnected? Based on each other. Because both of them are the part of the nature. That is what Sankhya says. Because Sankhya divides the whole nature into the 25 elements. And the 24 elements belong to the Prakriti, and these Sharira and Man and Buddhi, everything belongs to Prakriti. That is why they have a lot of similarity. You cannot divide it. That is why you cannot divide it. If your mind is not good, your body is getting impacted. If your body is not good, your mind is getting impacted. That is the reason. Thank you so much. So, in this way, one should understand this importance of Buddhist yoga, and by understanding this Buddhist yoga, one can get rid of all problems. Basically, all problems are based on the mind. And later on in Buddhism, Yogachara school also has come. Yogasya achara. That directly deals with the Yogachara says that everything is mind. Everything is mind. The whole world is mind-made. And they also call it Vijñapti. Vijñaptivadins, that is why they are called. So in this way, the whole philosophy is so interesting, but we should understand importance of this kind of literature, philosophy, and develop this kind of philosophy in our curriculums, in new education policy also. Only then we will get good results. Thank you very much.
Professor Rao, so you have dealt with yoga as a system stipulated by our ancient saints and seers, and especially if we conceive about the new world order, yoga helps a lot. And the concept of compassion is essential in this pandemic age. So while concluding, certainly I will be throwing few points while giving the presidential remark, but I must congratulate you. Thank you very much.